Oh no, my hair's gone. Oh. Not to worry though, because this tutorial would teach you how to draw hair from scratch. As mentioned in my drawing hair video, I draw hair in 3 stages. The first and lowest layer of hair always has to be the base outline, or the basic shape of the hair. Secondly, I put in my midtones, and lastly, I put in some highlights. If the method previously didn't work for you, here are other ways I draw hair. I will also be looking at other textures and also other colors. Popular hair colors would include black hair and blonde hair. I'll also introduce to you an interesting way to use undertones or the base color for your blonde hair. Hair shows up best on 4K resolution drawings. To change the resolution, you just have to press the drop-down arrow. SD stands for standard definition. Just click the one with the highest resolution. But if this is making your device lag, risking a few pixels is not worth it. Here's the QR code of the hairbrush that I use. Most of the time though, I use my trusty oil hairbrush, my default brush, because it saves a lot of time and it's personally the simplest way that works for me. Oil hair is the most common brush I use for drawing shapes, and you always hear me talk about this. Here I'm pressing on force fade. Then I press around shape of fade, smooth versus linear. For shorter hair with pointy thin edges, linear works best. For a more forgiving brush, smooth works better. The reason why I don't use linear as much as smooth is because linear leaves a small indentation if I draw it straight on. Smooth doesn't, and that's why I like to use smooth more. Notice how there is no indentation when I draw a curved line or a straight line with smooth. The shape that I'm drawing of this black hair right now will not need any midtones because black is such a dark color. So the only thing that you would need is some highlights. The highlights are also quite difficult because you can't put black in add mode. That's why you have to use a grayish color and then put that in add mode. There is a bit more pressure on you when you do draw with black hair because when you're using the highlights, you also have to use that to shape the hair. In this case, I want to give my character upturned edges. Also on the left side, our left, I'm showing you how it looks like with thicker brush strokes using this hairbrush. This brush is also quite versatile because I can draw loose hair strands with this. How I do it is I draw an upward stroke and the pointy bit starts where my pen strokes up. Now I'm going to show you the other way I draw hair, and it's my preferred way when I have more time. First, I'm going to draw a base using the Hair 1 brush. Blonde and white hair can have unique base colors. Proceedingly, I'm going to draw my blonde midtones. Since this is just wavy hair, I'm not going to make my S shapes too tight. You can see that I don't do a continuous S shape. Rather, I do strokes one side, to the left for example, and then I join them with other strokes that curve from the right. When drawing the hair parting, I also make sure that the edges are blunt. The lines representing the ends of her hair strands will be pointy, meanwhile the lines in the middle of her hair will be blunt. I'm not too happy with her base color, so I'm going to change it. How I do it is I clip a layer to the base color, and then I go to the bucket tool and change it to 100% strength. Then I just switch around and experiment. I'm happy with this reddish pink color because it makes the blonde look more vibrant. Now onto the blonde highlights. I use my oil hairbrush, put it at very low opacity, probably around 10 or less, and then after that, I just draw small strokes that don't need to be on force fade, simply on the parts of the hair that curve. As you can see, I'm only highlighting the curved parts of the hair. Be very selective when you want to highlight. If you highlight too much, it'll look oversaturated and overly bright and won't look like real hair. Now I'm doing some final touch-ups such as filling in the gaps of the hair with the midtones, and also I'll be erasing some of the base color that protrudes unnecessarily. In this tutorial, I'll leave the left side just with the base color to show you the transformative difference. I'm using my oil hairbrush one more time in add mode to go over the edges of the hair. Highlights show up best on add mode. After this, I'm all done with that side of the hair, and you can see the difference. For hair colors other than black, yellow, and white, I like to use hair colors in the same color group but of different shades. Here's an edit that shows the layering of these 2 brushes among 3 layers. Next, let's try drawing curls with this brush. As you can see, I'm just doodling randomly, and I think I made a little rose flower curl sort of thing on her head, and so it's quite easy to form curls with this brush. For common curly hair, I think you could try to draw an S shape, and make the width quite small between these strokes to show that these are tight curls. I'm also going to redo the base color to show you how it looks like drawing curls with black hair. So I'm using a thick brush size, and then I'm just going to fill out the space underneath. So basically for my base color, I use the hairbrush, and then for my highlights, I use the hairbrush once again, but this time I'm also going to add even more highlights and even lighter color, and then I'm going to show you how to accentuate curls. So I'm going to be using the oil hairbrush, and I don't think it's necessary to put it in force fade mode this time because it's quite small. And then I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the parts of the curls that curve or stick outwards. When you want to draw a tight curl, like a ringlet curl, you always start with like these little open semicircles, and then you go back and close them at the top and at the bottom. The bottom gets more thin. Then afterwards, I'm going to show you why I don't like using the hairbrush as a highlighter. I feel like it's too thick and it's a bit too tedious. So I just get the oil hairbrush and put that in add mode. Then it takes care of the little finer details by itself. When you use the hair 1 brush, 1 line equals 1 stroke, but for the oil hairbrush, 1 stroke equals 3 lines. I hope this tutorial was helpful in allowing you to understand the other ways I use to draw hair. Let me know which hair drawing technique you liked best, and hopefully you can try it out for yourself too.